So we are talking hockey hardcore here for the last bit. We were just talking about Dylan Larkin, about why is he playing 1919, about the free agents. Now I want to get into the young guys. How impressive was it, Sean? Like, tell the people out there, is the fact that, like you've said, Steve Yzerman's been on this job for 4 seasons, and the fact that he's got all his draft choices in the lineup at one time. Now, unfortunately, Marco Kasper, who we learn is out. He had a cracked kneecap or whatever, but played on it. The 18-year-old didn't look out of place. Now, we can talk about the 20-year-olds in Edmonton or the 21-year-olds or 22-year-olds, but can you just say where the fact, because you left it off, that coming here, Steve Yzerman didn't have his Victor Hedmans and his Steven Stamkos.
Yep.
But he sure as heck went out and got him, didn't he?
It's all about advanced scouting, and you know this, Mac. This is what made your teams.
Don't give Drapes any flour.
Well,
no,
this
he
is what.
deserves it. He
Well,
deserves
you know,
it.
I know from talking to him in the past, he's very familiar with that drive on the 401 and going to a bunch of different
If
games.
Chris Draper didn't have the Waze app, we would not know him. He can't get anywhere.
But it's all about going out and finding talent. And I mean, Mac, in your era, look at how many guys the scouting staff found from overseas. And we were talking.
Who's the greatest NHL scout, right? Through our era or whatever, who is the greatest asset in our organization?
And everybody.
Hawken Anderson.
Everybody scouts like Hawken Anderson. Now.
Everybody
I mean,
scouts.
People copied
that.
him. He did. I mean, there's no doubt about
and
it.
don't worry, the Hawk, as we call him, Hawken Anderson, is still part of the King and the Prince, Nick Lidstrom, Henrik Zetterberg, that conglomerate over dealing with Sweden, bringing you the Vollanders and the Edvinsons and the Kaspers. So we're still good 20-some years later.
And that's exactly it. I mean, now, I think they were going into places that other people weren't going into, and I think we've heard all the stories, so you don't need me to go over that. But, Mac, it continues now, and it really does. It starts with advanced scouting. I look at the Atlantic Division right now, and we'll get to the tippy top, because what the Bruins are doing is
Now you're looking at the
sick.
Atlantic because you're Montreal Canadiens.
No, but listen, all jokes aside, Montreal, Detroit, Buffalo. Look at all the youth they have on the teams right now, the young, incredibly talented players. So pretty soon here, I think you're going to see this division get turned upside down. I really do. I think you're going to see Detroit up at the top, and you know, because you know there is an hourglass. There is an hourglass in the National Hockey League. You cannot keep doing it. And I think that was part of the mistake. And you know, I love your former boss, Ken Holland. I think he's a good man. I think what he did is he waited too long and waited for every one of the grains of sand to come out of that hourglass. You have to be willing to change on the fly and make those difficult decisions. And you have to act with no heart. But Mac, honestly, when you see the young players in Buffalo and Ottawa and Montreal and predominantly Detroit, it might not be next year. It might not be 2 years from now. But guess what? The Leafs are going to run into salary cap problems. Tampa's going to run into some issues. The Bruins, Don Sweeney's done such a fantastic job because he wasn't afraid to make moves that he knew weren't going to be popular at the time, but he was looking at the long-term big picture window. This division's going to flip quick, fast, in a hurry because you have people in place that are doing a good job of loading up on these young players and willing to take their lumps in the process.
No, I think that's what it is, right? And then when you see the Siders, the Edvinsons, you know, the Valenos, the Raymonds, you know, and the Kaspers. Talk about, you know, we were talking about earlier, right? Because not only setting yourself up for the draft and having the capable guy in drafting and having the scouting staff, stuff like this, but you have to be able to pick the right talented guys. Now, there's a lot of, obviously, the name Connor Bedard, right? First overall in the draft and stuff like this. And you got a great story I want you to tell. But isn't it also, too, don't forget, this Marco Kasper that you drafted in the first round last year, when do first rounders get drafted and then play in the same season on your team or getting them the game? Because getting him that game in or wanting to play it the rest of the year tells me he's so much further along. And guys, 18.
Absolutely.
20 blows me away. And I know I came in the league at 21, right? But the game it's different now, but just the future of this team is right there. But to talk about Connor Bedard,
well,
right?
It's
who's
interesting.
the number one.
For the nerds out there, I'm sure you know this.
The nerds want this.
Yeah, okay. So this draft is sick. And so you have two teams. I'll go back to what we were talking about with the Atlantic Division. You have two teams in Detroit and Montreal that have 4 picks in probably the top 15, 16 picks. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. To have in a draft like this, it's crazy. And Montreal's a little higher because they really suck this year, but they have their pick. They have another first-round pick. They have Florida's first-round pick. And, of course, Detroit has theirs and Vancouver's first-round pick. But obviously, as high as this draft is, Connor Bedard's at the tippy top of this draft. And if you haven't heard the name yet, my guess is you're not a big hockey fan, but I really think this is a generational type of player. But, Mac, there was a great story with this where you had Connor McDavid, who I will not...
And let me just explain for the non-hockey viewers out there how this means to use an analogy, right? So Connor Bedard, right, would be the next Connor McDavid, who was the next Sidney Crosby, which means top guys. So it'd be like the Jordan to the LeBrons to who's the next coming up. Like this kid is supposed to be the next Wayne Gretzky, who was our guy, who's always the next one. So in saying that...
So over the weekend, Connor McDavid, who is having just a sick season, a season that shouldn't be happening in this day and age, Connor McDavid told the story of Connor Bedard over the summer, and he was playing on a line with Sidney Crosby, 17 years old, playing on a line with Sidney Crosby at this BioSteel camp, and he said they had a 2-on-1. Now, I don't know about you. If I'm on a 2-on-1 with Sidney Crosby, I'm going to find a way to get the puck to Sidney Crosby. I'm a 17-year-old player. McDavid said he gave Crosby the look-off, making everybody think he's going to pass it, and then ripped it over the goaltender's shoulder. I want that kid. I want that kid who's an assassin and basically says, no, me.
Yeah.
Me. I'm going to rip this. And, I said to Lindsey Hunter, I said, that's like you're on a 2-on-1 going through the lane, and there's Michael Jordan next to you. Mm-hmm. Hey, Jordan, I'm going to fake the pass to you, and I'm going to take it to the rack myself. I mean, that is some incredible guts. That's some incredible confidence. I want an assassin like that on my team. The moment wasn't too big for him. I got this.
And that's when they asked him if they think, I forget if it was World Juniors or the OHL, like, do you think your team can win? Do you think you can get out there and you can win the whole thing? And he said, yeah. And they're like, why are you so confident? He's like, because I'm on the team.
Isn't that great? Love it. Love it. Gimme.
Now,
gimme.
Now, here's, and I'm going to defer to you, right? Because my belief is with the Red Wings and the bingo balls and whatever, how they fall, right? You're still in good shape if you get number 2 pick in Fantilli.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll go number 2. He'll go number 2.
He will. Now, different player than Bedard, bigger player. I've heard it. I heard somebody that I respect a lot in this game compare him to Eric Lindros, right? Which is like the high mark.
People don't understand how good Eric was.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But as a freshman, Hobie Baker finalist, right?
Ended up winning it. Won it over the weekend.
He did win.
Yeah.
So, talk a little bit about this. What does this kid bring to the table?
It's part of the reason why, Darren, again, so many people say this is one of the deepest high-end drafts that they can remember. And now, are the Wings going to get 1 or 2? Conspiracy theories aside, I don't know how the ping pong balls are going to drop. I don't. I have no idea. So many people, we're going to end up picking 6 anyway. I think it's stupid. I think you should go in the order you finish, but whatever. You have to add the bells and whistles. Mac, I'll go a step further than what you said. I think if you get anybody of the guys listed in maybe the top 20, some people might say even larger, there's a reason why people are talking this draft up to be one of historic nature. And the Red Wings have 2 of those high picks. Again, the fellow Atlantic team has 2 of those high picks. That's what makes this so special. But to your point about Adam, boy, Eric Lindros, I didn't think Eric Lindros. But old school power forward, maybe, in that Cam Neely kind of, world with Lindros and everything. Yeah. I don't think that's going off the reservation saying something like that,
No, that's awesome.